Hi Snigdha, how are you?
Hello, sir. I'm fine. Thank you. How are you, sir?
I'm good too, thank you. So can you tell me something about yourself?
Yeah. So, sir, myself, Snigdha Srivastava, and I have completed my Bachelor of Technology from United Institute of Technology, Prayagraj, with an aggregate of 86%. And my specialization was computer science and engineering. Now, talking about my profession, I was working with Setcost Technologies Private Limited in Lucknow, uh, where my profile was quality assurance analyst. And in that organization, the domain on which I worked was e-commerce. So the types of testing we used to perform are like integration testing, regression testing, sanity, smoke, negative scenario testing, and compatibility testing. All these
Mm-hmm.
type of testing we used to perform on the web applications, web-based applications.
Okay. Yeah.
Also,
What else? Mm-hmm.
uh, with a proven track record of delivering high quality software solutions, I excel in crafting and executing test plans and identifying defects and collaborating with cross functional teams to drive continuous improvement. Apart from these, apart from this, I also participated in various agile ceremonies. I do acquire a knowledge of mobile application testing, but theoretical knowledge, mobile application testing, and um, some knowledge about API testing. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and currently, I'm working on the practical knowledge of these two. So that's it from my side, sir.
Okay. Okay. So how many years of experience you have?
Sir, 2 years, 11 months.
Mm-hmm. So almost 3 years of experience you have.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, fine. So let's say you have to test the chat application, right? You are aware about Google Chat or Google Meet,
Yeah, yeah. Yes,
right?
sir.
So can you tell me endurance test scenarios for the chat application?
Endurance test scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, endurance. Sir, I don't know what is endurance testing.
Okay, okay, fine, fine. So with respect to endurance testing, what you do is you are basically validating the application and you are seeing how much CPU utilization is happening. You are monitoring the memory usage, the network bandwidth. So all those factors are considered when you are doing endurance testing. Okay, so let me share my screen. So whenever this question is asked to you, so you
Mm-hmm.
can tell these kind of scenarios. Okay, is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Hmm. So what you are doing is you are evaluating the application stability, right? So it comes under performance testing, non-functional testing, right? So you are evaluating the application stability and resource utilization. So you will continuously monitor it for 24 hours. Yeah, it will run for 24 hours. You'll see, okay, after 6 hours, what was the um, application response? How is the application been responding after continuously using for a longer duration of time? Are you experiencing any kind of slowness? Is there any kind of lag that is happening in the application? Right. So you will
Yeah.
monitor the performance of the application in short. Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's move to the next question. Okay. Now let's say you have to test a coffee cup, right? I want you to come up with the compatibility test cases of the handle. So so high level test scenarios for the handle of a coffee cup, and then tell us something about the compatibility test scenarios.
Okay, sir. Sir, handle of a coffee cup. So, so the high level test scenarios may include like the uh, material used
Hmm.
uh, for the handle,
Hmm.
and then the color of the handle as
Hmm.
prescribed, and
Right.
again
Right.
the structure of the handle, we can say,
Mm-hmm. What else?
and
Yeah.
the structure shape will come into structure.
So you can take your time to think, right?
Yes, sir.
So just to give you a hint, let's say compatibility testing, if you have to perform with respect to some website, so you will test with various compatible browsers like Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Edge. If it's come to mobile, then you'll test with various versions. Here you have to do compatibility testing with respect to coffee cup, right?
Compatibility testing.
You are aware about compatibility testing, right?
Yeah, sir.
Yeah.
I'm aware. So, sir, compatibility test scenarios may include the
Hmm.
compatibility, the, the so compatibility test scenario
Hmm.
might include like what liquid we are using.
So let's say if you have to test a coffee cup, yes, so you will be testing eventually, first of all, the liquid. So see, there are two questions here. One is how you will test a coffee cup. Second is with respect to handle, how will you do the compatibility testing? So in with respect to coffee cup, you can yes test the liquid. You can test the uh, by pouring hot liquid. You can test whether that coffee cup is able to handle that hot liquid, maybe of certain temperature, or is it getting break, both
Hmm.
hot as well as cold. So those kind of liquid you can pour and you can test. What else?
Uh, what else? So compatibility may include the shape also, shape and size of the cup.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Correct. Correct. Now you're going in the right direction. Yeah.
And sir, compatibility may also include the size, means the gapping which we give uh,
Hmm.
to hold the coffee mug.
Right. Right.
That may also differ.
Correct. So let me tell you few test scenarios which you can tell here. Mm, this is fine. See, you'll test how strong the material is, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You'll also test the recovery testing. So are you aware about recovery testing? So let's say if you detach the handle from that cup and you
Mm-hmm.
attach it again, is it working? Right? Usability of the cup, the painting of the cup, how is it? So is it painting gets wiped off if you clean it with a very hard surface, or if you clean it with a very hard soap or detergent, right? Then you will also verify how strong is the cup itself. If it is falling from some particular height, then is it getting break? Then how much heat or how much cold it can bear, right? How much temperature it can withstand. So as we were discussing, how much weight it is, and is it too heavy to hold it, right? What is the size? So I think you mentioned about this test scenario, the size, the shape, right? Then shape of the cup. So if it is circular, so let's say if someone is drinking, the coffee should not get spilled off. The interior color, you can also test the weight of the coffee cup, right? So those are few of the scenarios that you can come up with the coffee cup scenarios, right? For the coffee cup. Okay, um, now this is a use case that has been given to you from the business analyst. The customer needs to buy a pen with the credit card payment option. So can you tell me high level four test scenarios?
Credit card payment option.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So first of all, the customer uh, needs to buy a pen.
Hmm.
So from whichever website the customer is purchasing a pen, first
Hmm.
of all, the pen is in stock. Then after uh, clicking on the option that is buy,
Hmm.
then the customer should be redirected to the gateway options. There the customer can see various options Then
Hmm.
various options should be displayed in front of the customer.
Hmm. Hmm.
Then the customer will choose the credit card payment option from there. And after clicking on the credit card payment option, the customer should be redirected to the uh, to we can say input the information of the uh, credit card, yeah. Then some OTP will come to his to the customer mobile number that was registered. Then after entering the OTP, he will be able to successfully proceed with the payment.
Correct, correct. Okay, so these are good test scenarios. You can also add few of these. So this is actually a checkout process, right? You are checking out the product with the help of credit card. So if you are currently purchasing it, the item should be logged for purchase by any other person, right? Then you can verify the user is able to enter the credit card details and all the possible validation messages, for example, related to the card is proper or not, or card number is proper or not. So
Yes, sir.
those should be handled. Then you'll verify for the negative test cases. For example, if you are entering fake card details, then
Yes.
what happens? You will verify the payment gateway screen itself, right? The secure authentication, and then the whatever the authentication, then OTP is required. If what if you enter invalid credentials? What if you enter invalid OTP? So those kind of scenarios you can validate. Then you will verify if all the details are correct, then the transaction should return you the 200 response, the success response. If OTP or if the password or if the amount that needs to be paid is less from the account itself, right? It's not present in the account, then it will give you a error message, failure transaction, right? Then
Yes,
you
sir.
can verify the email or the SMS that needs to be displayed, that is generated properly, right? Then the purchase item count should be decreased. So let's say if you had to purchase, for example, uh, pen with 20 pens you have to purchase, and there were, for example, 10,000 pens available on that store, on that online store. So it should display then 9880 pens as further available, right? So those are high level test scenarios that you can tell with respect to this use case. Okay, so now what are your roles and responsibilities as a software tester? So which are the different testing activities that you carry out during the entire day?
Okay, sir. So first of all, after login,
Hmm.
we the tool which we use to manage the task and raise the bugs was Zigra.
Mm-hmm.
So on that, our app panel was there, like board was there. So I
Hmm.
was working on Etsy.
Okay.
So that Etsy board was there, and in that different columns were there. So
Hmm.
in that columns, different QA tasks were there. So after the developers work on the development of any module or functionality or any feature, then they push the task in the QA board. So that all task uh, we used to perform, and in that if any new feature or functionality was developed, then we have to perform functionality testing, then negative test scenario testing, and
Hmm.
compatibility testing. Or if any bug fixes have been done, then we used to do that testing, and then we used to do regression testing.
Okay. Okay. Great.
Apart from this,
Yeah.
sir, uh, we have daily scrums also
Hmm.
that we have to join, and we have to give the progress of our previous day task and what we are going to do today, any blocker if we have faced while working on the task.
Hmm.
So this
Correct. Correct.
from this, sir, I also used to give KT sessions to juniors.
Okay, so if anyone is joining your project, so you used to give KT session. Okay. And then apart from these test case writing, test case
Yeah,
execution.
yeah, yeah. test case
Right.
execution, test case writing of the functionality that we have that has came for testing,
Hmm.
use cases, RTM also we used to write.
So what do you know about RTM?
Sir, RTM. Okay, sir. So in RTM, we basically mention the requirements.
Hmm.
Like if any functionality is going to be developed, then what can be the requirements of that functionality?
Hmm.
Then we used to describe the requirements, and then we used to map with the test scenarios that we develop.
Hmm. 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 Okay. So in requirement traceability metrics, which are the different things that you will have in our team? Yeah.
Requirement ID,
Hmm.
we have the description of the requirements. Then we have the test scenario column. Yeah,
Hmm.
only these columns we used to make.
Okay. Okay. Fine. So generally, the aim of having requirement traceability matrix is that you have proper test case coverage for all the requirements, right?
Yes.
So when this kind of question is coming to you in a real-time interview, then you can explain in this manner as well. So you have all the requirements, and the test cases will be mapped to all those requirements to ensure that you are covering all the requirements during your product or during your release testing, right? Because if any of the test case is not covered with respect to any of the requirement, then what would happen? The customer or the client might find a defect in that particular requirement, and eventually they might raise a issue. So in order to cover all the requirements, we go for requirement traceability matrix. Now, one more way how this question can be asked to you in an interview is about how can you ensure that you have 100% test case coverage, right? So you can ensure it by using requirement traceability matrix only, right? So that's how you can tell. Okay, so you were telling that you are using Jira, and in Jira you have user stories for which you have to perform testing. So how will you do the estimation of these user stories?
So the estimation was done at the time of sprint planning meeting. And
Or yeah.
uh, if in case the user story took time than the estimated, then we
Hmm.
have to mention in the comment that why we have consumed time more than the estimated time.
Right, right. So this is about, when you have estimated some particular time, let's say there is a user story, you have committed that you would be able to complete it in 2 days, but you took some extra time, right?
Mm.
But the question is, how will you come to know that 2 days is the correct effort for testing that user story? So how will you go for test estimation?
Yes, sir. So in the sprint planning meeting, the
Hmm.
developers used to explain their task uh,
Hmm.
uh, on which they would be performing development.
Hmm.
So in detail, they uh, describe the development in
Hmm.
detail, whatever
Hmm.
the feature or functionality they would be working. So after this, we used to define the estimate with the help of developers also, that how much time it can take, and our internal discussion we used to decide.
Okay, great. So what I'll do is, I'll explain you on this thing. Hmm. Is my screen visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Hmm. So let's say if you get this question in a real-time interview, how will you go for test estimation? On what basis you will estimate a user story? Then you have to explain all these things. So first of all, yeah, so developer will be there, development team will be there, but you will go through the user story. So you will analyze the user story. What is the story? So it's actually a requirement itself, right? So you will analyze it, and you will see the various acceptance criteria that are there in that user story. So generally there can be one acceptance criteria, two, or there can be 7 to 8, or there can be 15 acceptance criteria. So it depends from story to story. So if there are more acceptance criteria, right, then you can estimate the effort accordingly. See, there are times when the testing teams also does the t-shirt sizing. So what is t-shirt sizing? So let's say small size story is there, so it will take less effort,
Hmm.
right? If it's a large size story, so it will take a large effort. If it is extra large, then it might take some more effort to test that user story. Now, apart from this, what you have to consider is the story covering non-functional scenarios as well. Like for example, performance testing. The screen should get loaded in 5 minutes, sorry, 5 seconds. The page should be getting loaded in 2 seconds. So such kind of non-functional scenarios have been mentioned in the acceptance criteria or not, right?
Yeah.
If those are mentioned, then those would take additional time, because functional testing you will do. Apart from that, you will have to do non-functional testing as well, right? So you will have to take time for both the things.
Yes,
Next
sir.
is about, is it a new feature altogether, right? Or it's something change request, right? Now,
Hmm.
what is the difference between new feature and change request? So when I say new feature, so it is something that is built from the very scratch itself, right? Some particular screen, some particular page, which is being developed, which has been programmed from the very scratch. Change request means if you have a certain screen or certain page available, you just have to add some particular functionality into that page, or you might be adding some buttons, or it's a UI UX change, right? So you can tell that also, or it's a UI UX change. So see, if it's a new feature, then again it will take more time. If it's a change request, it will take less time compared to new feature. If it's a simple UI UX kind of a scenario, then it will take you less time, right? So this is how you can tell in an interview how you will give the estimation based on different aspects, right?
Hmm.
So definitely you don't have to tell the numbers like 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. You have to tell it depends on the requirement. It depends on the user story which you have to test, right? And see, the development team will be explaining you the story. They might not be explaining you, but it is your responsibility and uh, to question the business analyst or project managers that what is the story about. So this kind of things will be discussed during the grooming meetings. So generally in Agile, you will have grooming meetings wherein these kind of discussions would be happening. What is the effort required from the development side? What is the effort required from the QA side? How much time you would take to test it? Okay, and currently this estimation is just based on manual testing. If it is automation, then other points will also come into the picture, right? So that's how in detail you have to explain. Okay, fine. Okay. What is network latency testing?
Network latency testing.
Are you aware about network latency testing? Okay. So let this be an open question for the people who are watching this video. So please put the answer of this question. What is network latency testing in the comment section of the video itself? Okay. So now, can you tell me about the critical defect that you have found so far in your career? Any one of the critical defect that you have found so far?
Critical defect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sir, we used to work on the web-based applications,
Mm-hmm.
the integration applications actually. Our company used to work on the we have Shopify platform, then we have marketplaces, different like Etsy, Walmart. So in between this integration applications are being
Mm-hmm.
used. So on this we have to work. Like we have to do on testing on these type of applications, integration applications.
Mm-hmm.
So one issue I encountered was the main functionality of the application, that is like publishing the product on marketplace.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
sir,
Yeah. So what was the severity and priority of that issue?
sir, the publishing was the major functionality.
Hmm.
Like if the client is using the application, then publishing and then order related scenarios must be working fine. But
Hmm.
I faced issue while publishing the product on marketplace. So that was a high priority issue. Severity was also high.
Okay. Great. Great. So that bug you have raised and it was quickly fixed from the development team because it was a high severity, high priority issue about publishing that you are telling the functionality. Okay. Great. Great. Any other scenario or any other functionality, any other bug that you have found which was very critical?
Yes, sir. Like after installing the application from Shopify App Store, uh, we firstly we get the onboarding steps of the applications. So the first onboarding step was to connect with the marketplace, in which we verify the API details.
Hmm.
So the onboarding, if the onboarding is not smooth, then the client will not be able to come to the application, to come to the home section of the application if the onboarding is not smooth.
Hmm.
So I was testing the application. Then I faced the issue on onboarding step 4. That was of profiling. Like
Hmm.
profiling in, we used to make profiling to collectively assign the same type of products in a profile. Like we are selling type of product like shoes.
Hmm.
So we will select the profiling based on the shoes category. Then the all the product that are of type shoes will be assigned to that profile. So that is the onboarding step 4 in our application. So that onboarding step 4 was not working properly.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So it was also a high priority issue, because if the onboarding is not smooth, then the client will not be able to come to the application.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Great. Okay. Let's say now, if you have to tell the test scenarios for a Google Map application, right? You have used Google, you would have used Google Map application, right? So can you tell me high level test scenarios? How will you test a Google Map application?
Okay. So first of all, Google. Yeah. So first of all, we the scenarios may include like we have to choose the destination.
Hmm.
We will choose the destination, so that may include the actual destination also, and the destination that does not exist in real time. Like if we negative test scenario, like if we do
Hmm.
uh, we input some xyz type of destination, then
Hmm.
it should not uh, give us the direction for that. And if we give the right destination, then it should give the direction for that. After that,
Hmm.
we will look for the direction, like the shortest, the longest route that
Hmm.
we have to cover. And then sir, if we okay, so if we cancel the destination, and if we re-enter the new destination, then how it is working, we can
Hmm.
also check that. And if we are covering the distance uh, by walking, or different types of transportation we can use, so that is giving the time estimate correctly or not.
Hmm.
Then we can check for the uh, that we use like that arrow. I don't know what to call that. Or it is like the sir. I don't know what to call that. That
Right, right.
arrow which comes on the map. We
Okay.
can also use the car there.
Okay, okay. So those kind of symbols that you are
Yeah,
able
yes,
to see them properly or not. Those are
yeah.
working properly or not. Right, right.
Properly.
Okay, okay. Great, great. What else?
Uh, then we can check.
That's
Then
it?
we can check
Any?
if we
Yeah.
start if we start our journey, then
Hmm.
uh, as we are moving, the map should also move in that direction only.
Correct.
Means it should not divert,
Mm-hmm.
so it should be moving in the same direction only. So these all high level test scenarios we can test.
Right, right. Great, great. So these scenarios are good. Apart from these, you can also consider these some more scenarios. So screen is visible to you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is map display. So you will verify that the map loads correctly upon launching the application. So as you were telling, you will be uh, entering some place, the destination, right? Then the map should load correctly. The map views should be visible. For example, satellite view, terrain view, street view. So such kind of map views you should be able to test. Then there should be proper zoom in and zoom out functionality. So those both zoom in and zoom out functionality should work correctly. Then you can test the search functionality by entering different addresses, landmarks, point of interest. You will verify the relevant search results are displayed accurately on the map. Then you will test autocomplete suggestions for search queries. Then you will test the ability to get the directions between the 2 points. So maybe as you were telling, with various points, so you can also test by driving, walking, cycling, public transit. Then particular time and distance should be accurately displayed, and the time and distance, sorry, time should also change based on the option you select. For example, driving, the time should increase compared to when you take any vehicle.
Yes, sir.
Then you will test turn by turn navigation functionality. You will also test by giving the voice instructions.
Mm-hmm.
Then you will test with respect to multiple stops. If you have in the map, then how is it responding? Then you will test whether it is giving you the proper route or not, and it is showing you correct information with respect to traffic. So if there is some particular traffic at some point, then is it helping you with couple of other suggested locations, sorry, directions as well, right? So yeah, real-time traffic information, traffic congestion, accidents. Then you will test the ability to share current location with others. You will verify the shared locations are displayed accurately on the map. If it's an offline map, then you will test the ability to download the map. You will test the nearby points of interest. So everything that you have in the online map, same things you will have in the offline map as well.
Mm-hmm.
Street view and all those things, right? You can also do accessibility testing by testing the app's accessibility features for users with disabilities, such as voice commands or screens. You can also you can do performance testing by testing under various network conditions like 3G, 4G, now 5G is also there, or you have some Wi-Fi, then you can test to ensure the responsiveness of the Google Map application is proper. Then you will test the memory usage and battery consumption. It should not happen that the battery of your mobile gets drained off if you are using Google Map, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those kind of scenarios you can include.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what is the difference between test case and test scenario?
Okay. So, sir, test scenario are the high level scenarios,
Hmm.
some module we are going to test. Okay. So, that the module which we are going to test is the test scenario. and the number of uh, cases that we will perform on that module. That
Hmm.
is test.
Right. So test scenarios are high level scenarios, or you can say pointers that are used for validating the functionality or the application, while test cases are the detailed level of steps that you will write that will have actual result, expected result, test data to validate some particular functionality. Okay. Yeah. So this is correct. Okay. Now let's consider a scenario that you were testing some particular application or functionality, and you have tested everything. You have written the test cases as well. Now you have signed off that particular user story, right? Now, when the client is testing that user story, they are finding some bugs in that and they have reopened that ticket or user
Hmm.
story. So, what will you do in this situation?
Okay, so the clients are facing the issues.
Right, right. So, client has reopened the user story, or you can say the ticket, which in which you had tested. Yeah.
Hmm. So there might be different possibilities that the
Mm,
clients are facing issues that
mm.
I have already tested on the production.
Right,
So
right. So, which are those
different
possibilities? Yeah.
different possibilities may include uh, like uh, uh, I have already raised some bugs, and the
Mm,
developer have done hotfix, and due to that hotfix, that impacted the other section also, or other feature also, that might be the cause that the client are facing in the existing that the client are facing issue in the existing functionality, because that was already tested on the
mm,
production. uh, Other possibilities may include uh, like uh, I have missed that scenario from my side.
mm,
I have not tested that scenario. That's why the client had faced that issue on the
mm,
production. That can be the, so I will check for my test cases.
mm,
If I have missed that test case, then I will include that in my test cases,
mm,
and I will have the discussion with the developer to get that issue fixed as soon as possible. And sir, yeah, sir.
mm,
So
mm.
this can be the possibility.
Correct, correct. So there are two possibilities. One is if it has been missed internally by the QA team member, then you will include that test case in maybe regression or in the smoke, depending on the priority or the severity. You will include that test case in the suite, and you will communicate to the client that this particular test case is included. And after fixing it, after getting it fixed by the development team, you will test it and you will share those test result document with the client. And now it has been currently tested with all these particular scenarios working fine. The next possibility is if it's a new change that has been requested from the client side, then you will communicate to the client that this was not something that was mentioned in the user story. So rather than reopening that user story, it is important that you create a new user story and you mention this point there and you close this existing user story, right? Because it is working based on the pointers or the acceptance criteria that have been mentioned so far, right? So that's what you will do. Okay. Do you attend retrospective meeting?
Yes, sir.
So what are these retrospective meetings about?
Sir, in our organization, what we do in retrospective meeting was uh, the in the last sprint,
Hmm.
what are all the challenges we have faced, what are all the good things that we have done, and uh, what are all the works that we will continue to do in the next sprint, and the coming sprints also, and then any learnings we have done in the last sprint related to anything. um, then yeah, these all
Hmm.
types of pointers we discuss.
Okay, okay. Let's consider a scenario now that you are working on a user story in the sprint. The
Hmm.
sprint is of 15 days. Sprint duration is of 15 days. Sorry, not 15 days. It is of 2 weeks. Okay. So let me just write the scenario here. Okay, now you're working on one user story for testing. Okay. And you have to sign off this particular user story in 2 weeks. But still, you haven't received the build, or you haven't received the what I can say release from the dev team, right? Then what will you do?
So the user story I have to complete in that sprint only, the current
Correct,
sprint.
correct. In that sprint, you have already given the commitment, right?
Okay. So in this case, sir, we can do is that uh,
Mm-hmm.
first of all, we will ask the development team that
Mm.
how much time it will take before because uh, we are because this sprint is going to be completed. So and we haven't received the build yet. So and we will also discuss with the uh, PM project management team also that we
Mm.
have not yet received the build from the development side. So please do ask the development team to provide us the build as soon as possible.
Correct, correct.
After the so sir, uh, after the development team has provided us with the build, then we can uh, test the P0 and P1 type of test cases in that build because uh, we are not having time to test the complete functionality. So the P2 and P3 test scenarios we can we can proceed in the next sprint and the high level scenarios we can test in the current sprint only. And yeah, in the release note we can also mention that these all P2 and P3 types of test cases uh, we will be uh, shortly uh, deploying the changes on the production. And for now, we have just deployed these cases.
Right, right. So what you can do here is you can communicate to your test lead, you can communicate to your test managers that you have not received the build or release yet based on the commitment. Now there can be changes in the commitment as well, right? There can be changes in the completion of the user story because you haven't received the build for testing itself. So you will highlight it. If the development team still does not gives you the build, then you will communicate the same thing to the client, right? Now, if they give the build, then you will go with some kind of test strategy. So first of all, you will test the important test scenarios. Let's say out of 20 scenarios, 12 scenarios are very important that you need to test it to ensure that the user story is working. So those scenarios you will test first, and you will ensure that those are working. So the
Hmm.
sprint is about to complete. You have to give the demo. So during the demo itself, you or let's say if your QA manager is giving the demo, then you will communicate to the client that based on the less time availability, you are able to test this much percentage in the current sprint. You would definitely complete the testing in the next sprint, right? And then maybe you might give the further demo, right? So those kind of things you can communicate. So here it is very important how effectively you communicate with your leads managers and to the client also, right?
Yes, sir.
And how you can ensure that when the less timing when you have less time, still you are able to complete some part of testing rather than leaving the entire user story just in the
Yeah.
sprint without testing anything,
Yes, sir.
right? So that's very important. Okay, okay, Snigdha, I am done with the interview. Do you have any questions for me? Yeah.
Yes, sir. I do have.
Right.
Sir, I just want to ask that is
Mhm.
there a scope in manual testing or
Right. So
the
for getting a job in manual testing.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay. See, manual testing, or you can say functional testing, that is still in demand, right? Because you cannot start the automation without doing the manual testing of any application, right? It is very much in demand. And these days, people should learn these kind of skills of manual testing, right? Writing the test cases, designing the test cases using important testing techniques, how you can do test planning, how you can do test strategy. So those things are in demand and would be in demand. Manual testing will not be dead in future as well, right? So there is a scope, but now these days what has happened, the companies are also expecting some automation, some basic knowledge that you should have, right? So if you have basic knowledge on automation, you haven't worked on it fully, but if you have some knowledge, you know how to write the code, right? Then it would be beneficial for getting a job.
Sir, domain also matter.
Right, right. Domain also matters. So if you have worked in the financial domain, it is good. If you have worked in the banking or investment banking, or you can say e-commerce, then also it is good. Generally, testing remains same, 50 to 60%. But yes, with respect to domain, there are changes in the testing also. How do you test those things? What experience you have? So domain also matters. But generally, in the QA interviews, they will also see what are your analytical skills, how much you are able to come up with the test scenarios, what is your thinking on those scenarios, right? So today we covered the scenario based questions, so they'll see to what extent you are able to think and test.
Hmm. Answer feedback from your side.
Right. So feedback, if I give you, so theoretical based questions like difference between use cases, test cases, difference between test scenarios and test cases, then about the different ceremonies, retrospective that you have. How do you start your day? So theoretical, you were good. In scenario-based questions, if you could add some more scenarios, it would be good, right? Currently, you are covering scenarios. It's not like you are not able to think, but still, it is an average response. So it would be good if you further add some more scenarios. Whenever you get this kind of scenario-based questions, it's an advantage to you because you can think and you can answer to them, right? It is not something that you need to be well prepared, that you would be knowing, okay, this kind of question will come. Test scenarios can come from any level, right? So it is up to you how to answer them. So cover first functional, cover happy path, then cover negative, and then cover non-functional, so you would get time also, right? Rest all looks
Sir,
good. Yeah.
any website or any learning thing that you can suggest from where we can like learn these test scenarios based questions?
Right. So recently we have started uploading videos on test scenarios also. So if you can go through the new YouTube channel that we have launched, RD Technical Learning, so you'll get a lot of test scenarios from there, right? Same scenarios, if you speak up in an interview or on the same lines, then it would be good, right?
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
I watch
Anything
all
else,
your
Snigdha?
videos
Yeah.
related to manual testing.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching them and supporting it, and wish you all the best for your career.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you. Thank you.